Hey everybody, it's Sam here from Sugar Spun Run, and today I'll be showing you how to make whoopie pies, or as I call them, gobs. I am so excited to be sharing this recipe with you today. This is my grandmother's old-fashioned recipe for whoopie pies. This classic cookie is very popular around where I live, not too far from Amish country, and this particular recipe has been in my family for a long time. To get started, you're going to want to preheat your oven to 450 degrees Fahrenheit. Next, you're going to need 1 cup of granulated sugar, and we'll add this to a large bowl. Next, you need 1/4 cup of shortening. I don't often use shortening in my recipes, but this is my grandmother's old-fashioned recipe, and it calls for shortening. I tried a lot of variations using butter and different substitutions, but my family every time said the shortening version was the best. It has the best flavor and texture, so we're going to stick with shortening. Now use an electric mixer to beat together the shortening and the sugar until they're completely combined. Now we'll stir in 1 large egg, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. We'll just beat these together until everything is nicely combined and creamy. I'm just going to pause right here and scrape the sides of this bowl because I want to make sure everything is completely combined. Next, we'll stir in 1/2 cup of buttermilk. So we'll set our wet ingredients aside, and now you're going to need a separate bowl for your dry ingredients. We're going to start with 2 cups of all-purpose flour. Add 1/4 cup of natural cocoa powder, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/4 teaspoon baking powder, and 1/2 teaspoon salt. I'm just going to whisk these together until everything's nicely combined. Once you have your dry ingredients combined, now we are going to add them to our wet ingredients, but there is one more ingredient you need. You're going to need 1/2 cup of very hot or boiling water, and we're actually going to alternate adding the dry and wet ingredients, or the dry ingredients and our water. So I'm going to start and end with the dry ingredients. You can use an electric mixer on low speed to stir these together. I'm just going to use my spatula to combine everything. Now, because I want to make sure all the ingredients are well combined, I'm just going to grab my electric mixer and just stir this really briefly. Our cookie batter is ready to bake, so now you're going to need a cookie sheet, and as you can see, I've lined mine here with parchment paper. If you don't have parchment paper, you're just going to bake the cookies directly on an ungreased cookie sheet. I just like the paper because it makes cleanup a lot easier. So I'm going to be using a cookie scoop, and I'm going to be dropping this batter by about a heaping tablespoon onto the parchment paper. This batter is going to spread some in the oven, so you'll want to make sure to space your cookies about 2 inches apart. Now let's head over to our oven and bake these cookies in our 450 degree Fahrenheit preheated oven, and they're going to need to bake for about 5 to 6 minutes. Let these cookies cool completely on their pan. While those cookies are cooling, we're actually going to begin making our filling for these whoopie pies. So our filling, this old-fashioned filling, starts with a flour milk paste. It sounds a little weird, it's actually really good. It's going to give our filling the right consistency. So you definitely are going to want to make this for authentic whoopie pies or gobs. So what you're going to need first is a medium-sized saucepan, and let's head over to the stovetop. So to that saucepan, we're going to add 1 cup of whole milk, and you'll also need 5 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. Now, to avoid any lumps in this paste we're about to make, I either recommend sifting the flour into your milk mixture, or one thing that I like to do is I'll just use my whisk, and while I'm pouring the flour, I'll just break that up so that we don't have any clumps. And then we're just going to whisk this together really well, and then cook this over medium heat, stirring it with your whisk or with a spoon constantly until it's thickened. So once this is nice and thick and actually kind of resembles a paste, we're going to remove this from heat, and we're going to set it aside where we'll let it cool completely before we go any further. Now you really want this to be completely cooled before we go any further and make the rest of our filling, because if it's not, if it's even a little bit warm, it's going to melt our other ingredients. You're going to have a runny mess on your hands. So just walk away, maybe give it 30 minutes or an hour, let that cool completely. And don't forget, our cookies need to cool completely before we can fill them, so this is a good time to take a little break. Once our flour milk mixture has cooled completely, now we are ready to make our actual filling. So this is going to be the first ingredient we use. We're just going to add this to a large bowl. Now, as you can see here, this mixture has gotten even thicker as it's been sitting. It doesn't look super appetizing right now. Don't worry, we're going to make it taste really good. To this bowl, we're also going to add 3/4 cup of softened butter, 2 tablespoons of shortening, a teaspoon of vanilla extract, and just a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Now use an electric mixer to cream everything together until these ingredients are totally combined. Now, of course, we need some sugar, so we're going to add 1 cup of powdered sugar. Now I'm just adding the sugar gradually, that way we don't have a powdered sugar explosion in my kitchen. I'm just using my spatula to make sure everything is well incorporated so there's no sugar or butter clumps settled at the bottom of the bowl. This is looking pretty good. I'm just gonna give it one more stir with my mixer. And our filling is finished. Now you can just spread this directly onto your cooled cookies, but I'm actually going to put mine into a piping bag. It's just gonna make it easier. So now we have our frosting, and so long as our cookies have cooled, we are ready to prepare our Whoopie Pies. So as you can see here, I've just gone and paired off all of the cookies that are about a similar size because I don't always scoop them very evenly. So now I have my sandwiches paired. I'm just going to simply pipe the filling into the middle, or I should say on top of the bottom of one cookie, and sandwich that with another cookie, and just repeat until all of our cookies have been filled. And that is how you make old-fashioned homemade Whoopie Pies. I really hope you guys will try this one out. This is a classic recipe, a traditional favorite around here. I think you're going to love it. If you do try it out, please leave me a comment and let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Hey, if you guys enjoyed today's Whoopie Pie recipe, I would really appreciate it if you would please subscribe to my channel. Make sure to hit that notification bell, and please give me a thumbs up. Also, if you enjoyed today's video, here are a few others you might like as well.